Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ashwar Liman bin Amayani and my other group member is Kari Islan and Daniel Shafiq. My group will present about principle in IEEE 02.11 standard.
Okay, for the explanation of IEEE 802.15 standard, 802.15 is a specification driven by the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers IEEE to develop consensus standards for short-range wireless networks or wireless personal area networks. It has similar goals to Bluetooth in that it looks to address wireless networking or portable and mobile computing devices such as PCs, PDAs, mobile phones, peripherals, and consumer electronics. The 802.15 WPAN working group was established in 1999 as part of the Local and Metropolitan Area Networks Standards Committee of the IEEE.
802.15.1 which is Bluetooth is a low data rate, low power wireless networking standard aimed at replacing cable between lightweight devices. This design permits the Bluetooth Special Interest Group to compose this component into application-specific profile. In Bluetooth, it has a transport layer. Transport layer is roughly equivalent to the traditional OIS, physical and MAC layer. All Bluetooth devices are required to implement this layer in hardware. The transport layer is composed from the radio, baseband, and link manager layer. For the radio layer detects the frequency, power, and modulation used by Bluetooth antenna. Bluetooth occupies 79 channels of 1 MHz each in the 2.4 GHz spectrum from 2.402 GHz to 2.480 GHz. For Bluetooth device, they are divided into one of three classes which specify the antenna output power. Class 1 device broadcast using 1 MW to 100 MW power. Class 2 device broadcast using 0.25 MW to 2.5 MW power. And Class 3 device broadcast using up to 1 MW of power. For the baseband and link layer, Bluetooth device form into piconet and or scatternet. Scatternet is a multiple piconet. Piconet consists of one master device that communicates directly with up to 7 active slave devices. Multiple piconet can also be combined into a single multi-hop scatternet. Communication within a piconet occurs directly over the one-hop link between a master and a slave. Slave cannot communicate directly. The master may communicate with a slave during the odd number slot, and slave respond during the even number slot. Each packet may consume one or 3 or 5 slots. For the middleware layer, the middleware layer consists of several software components that are designed to encourage interoperability among Bluetooth devices. Many of the components in this layer are optional. The components in the middleware layer communicate with the transport layer using the standardized host controller interface, which is HCI. For the Bluetooth security, Bluetooth usually use a pairing process to establish encryption and authentication between two devices. The pairing process is performed using a series of keys as an input to the SAFER or cipher plus block cipher. In the first stage of the pairing process, the device generates a shared 128-bit initialization key using the master 48-bit hardware address, which is a shared 128-bit random number and user specified pin of up to 128 bits. The device then encrypts their link using this key and negotiate a 128-bit link key. The two devices then use the link key to perform a challenge or response protocol. If successful, then the two devices store the link key and discard the initialization key.
Okay, for the group 2, which is 802.15.2 WPAN, is coexistence mechanisms. The 802.15.2 is developing the recommended practices to facilitate the coexistence of WPAN and also WLAN technologies. Part of this task involves developing a coexistence model to quantify the mutual interference of WPAN and also the WLAN. Once approved, this outcome of TG2's work will become the IEEE 802.15.2 specifications. Okay, next.
Dah ke? Saya tak nampak skrin.
Dia hilang saya.
Dia hilang. Dia kena
Sekejap.
hilang sendiri.
Nampak ke?
Okey, ada balik. Okey, ada balik.
Okay, for the task group 3 or 802.15.3 WPAN is high rate WPAN. The 802.15.3 is charted to publish a new standard for high rate, which is 20 megabyte per second or higher WPANs. In addition to high data rates, 802.15.3 also has to provide a means for low power and also low cost solutions to address the needs of portable consumer electronics, digital imaging, and multimedia applications. Okay, for the task group 4, which is 802.15.4 WPAN, is about the low rate long battery life. The 802.15.4 is charted to establish a low data rate, which is 200 kilobyte per second maximum solution with long battery life, which is many months to many years, and also have a low complexity. It is intended to operate in an unlicensed international frequency band and is targeted at sensors, interactive toys, smart badges, home automation, and remote controls. It is the basis for the ZigBee, ISA 100.11a, wireless hard, MIWI, 6 low WPAN, thread, and snap specifications, each of which further extends the standard by developing the upper layers which are not defined in IEEE 802.15.4. In particular, 6 low WPAN defines a binding for the IPv6 version of the Internet Protocol over WPANs, and it is itself used by upper layers like thread. IEEE 802.15.4 also provides for very low cost communications of nearby devices with little to no underlying infrastructure. The concept of IEEE 802.15.4 is to provide communications over distances up to about 10 meters and with maximum transfer data rates of 250 kilobyte per second. Okay, for the task group 5, which is 802.15.5, is about mesh networking. It provides the architectural framework. Also, it promotes interoperable, stable, and scalable wireless mesh networking. It composed of two parts, which is low rate WPAN mesh and high rate WPAN mesh networks. And lastly, the common features of both meshes include network initialization, addressing, and also multi-hop unicasting. Okay, for the 802.15.6, which is task group 6, is about body area networks. It is formed in November of 2007. It focused on a low power and short range wireless standard to be optimized for devices and operation on, in or around the human body. And lastly, it is to serve a variety of applications including medical, consumer electronics and personal entertainment. Okay, next I'll pass to Karel Islan to explain about the task group 7.
Hello, test.
Tak dengar, tak dengar. Tak okey, audio tak okey, tak dengar. Sekali lagi, sound check sekali lagi. Ke saya seorang yang tak dengar? Orang lain okey tak? Dengar tak?
Tak juga.
Sound tak okey tu.
Hello, test.
Okey, boleh dengar.
Okay, next we continue for task group 7, which is visible light communication. This task group has completed the draft 5C of PHY and MAC standard for visible light communication. The inaugural meeting for task group 7 was held during January, where it was chatted to write standard for free space optical communication using visible light. Next. So for this task group 8, the peer-aware communication is developed to optimize for peer-to-peer and infrastructureless communication with fully distributed coordination operating in band below 10 GHz. The proposed standard has their targeted data rate. Features of the purpose include discovery for peer information without association, discovery of number of devices in the network, group communication with simultaneous membership in multiple groups, relative positioning, multi-hoop relay, and also security. Next. So for the task group 9, it is a key management protocol. It is to develop a recommend practice for the transport key management protocol datagram. This recommend define a message framework based on information element as a transport method for a key management protocol, datagram and guideline for the use of some existing KMP with IEEE standard of 802.50.4. The recommended practice will not create a new KMP. So by adding a new KMP support is critical to a proper security framework. Some of the existing KMP that is may address IETF PANA HIP IKE V2 IE standard 802.1x and four-way handshake. Next. So last but not least, the task group for number 10, it will develop a recommended practice for routing packet in dynamically changing the 802.15.4 wireless network with minimal impact to route handling. The goal is to extend the coverage area as the number of nodes increase. The route-related capability that the recommended practice will provide include of the following. First one is route establishment, dynamic route reconfiguration, discovery and addition of new nodes, breaking of established route, loss and recurrence of route, real-time gathering of link status, allowing for single hook appearance at the network layer, support broadcast and also support multicast, and lastly, effective frame forwarding. So that's all from us. Thank you.